days long. How you doing, Clay?
Doing well, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. I'm a little disappointed right now that the Cavs won.
Not a LeBron fan, huh?
Not that I'm not a LeBron fan. I'm a Jordan fan.
Listen, if the Raptors took LeBron and the Cavs all the way to overtime, I mean, exactly how long do we think that LeBron can actually, drag this team up the mountaintop? I don't know. I don't know if we can expect him to beat this Raptors team. I really don't.
No, and I don't think the NBA would like that because they don't want Toronto in the finals anyways.
Yeah. But listen, Toronto loses the first game of every series, just about, except for this last one. But every series they've ever been in before this year, they've lost the first game of the series. So this is not a big deal for the Raptors. They're used to it. Kyle Lowry's been playing great, and LeBron just has no help. He's got no help whatsoever. I don't think he's.
Well, let's jump into it. You're watching the Compadre System. It's a show between Clay and I, and it's just trying to fill that sports gap that's no longer on TV. And that's not a shot at the guys that are on TV. It's not as good.
We get a lot more time to do it, and we got people who are watching who we already know, who know us and know what we can do, right?
Yeah, if we can get Selber on next year, that'd be even better. So
there you go.
But take us through the rundown. What are we talking about today?
Well, let's start with the softball playoffs because I think that's probably where most of the focus in the Rio Grande Valley sports scene is right now. Second round of playoffs beginning actually tomorrow. Weird, huh? We got a Wednesday game. Brownsville Veterans playing at Gregory Portland tomorrow night. So a rare Wednesday night playoff game. So that'll be interesting. But we've got 9 teams left. None of them are from District 36A. A little surprised by that all 4 36A teams lost in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, especially, when you look at the other side of the valley, it's not as intense, softball wise. You never hear that.
Yeah.
And for our teams to be out in the first round, that's a big thing.
Yeah, for all 4 of them. But so that means we've got all 4 of 29 6A taking on a mixture of 32 6A and 31 6A. Harlingen South had another incredible series against PSG Memorial. Seems like we've seen that now 3 years in a row, right? Coach Martinez going up against his former assistant coach when he was at San Benito, who's now at PSA Memorial. And, kudos to the Wolverines on an incredible series. And, 2 years ago they upset the Hawks, in that first round. And I don't think anybody's taken the Wolverines for granted since.
No, and look, I'm going to say this is probably going to make some people in Mercedes mad, but think about what happened, with PSA Memorial on why they are as good as they are. It's going to make some people mad. Mike Uribe, when he left Mercedes, they had a very good sports program. I'm not saying their football program at PSA Memorial is awesome, right, by any means. They're better than what they had been in the past. But think about this. The softball program came along because why? Who did he bring in? Boys basketball, girls basketball. He brings in some real winners, and that program at PSG Memorial in general is really good.
Yeah, they're definitely on the way up, and Coach Uribe knows how to hire good coaches that can win in all different sports. That's for certain. So
can I make one suggestion? One suggestion, and this would probably gonna make some more people mad.
Okay, go ahead. Make people mad. That's what we're. I
hear Randy Creeders is retiring in Harlingen.
Okay.
I would like to see Mike Uribe there. I'd like to see Mike Uribe in Harlingen as the AD.
Okay. Interesting. That's a great pick. I mean, when you think about it, what else is going to happen there? The only other option is, you and I don't think that Manny Gomez is ready to hang up the whistle yet and go to AD, do we? Obviously, he'd be the pick if he was maybe older, wasn't so fired up, wasn't still, maybe the second, third best linebacker on his team. Yeah, so it's probably not time for him to head to the chair yet.
Yeah, he's not as old as Mike Uribe by any means. No, they're about the same age, I think. So, but no, I think Mike would be a great fit over there. But let's get back to the softball. I'm sorry, I ADD.
Well, this is what you do, Jake. You go off on tangents. You digress. That's why you're the idol of hundreds. That's why.
Yeah, I'm not going to even talk. We won't even bring up Ed Couch. All right.
All right. Well, double. 26, 11, and 13. Good Lord. All right, enough of that. All right, softball playoffs, area round. 9 teams left alive. San Benito takes on San Antonio Southwest, starts in Centon and goes to Toloso Midway. On the other side of that same bracket, it's Edinburgh, EHS, Bobcats taking on Eagle Pass. All those games are in Laredo starting Friday and Saturday. That's one side. Meanwhile, on the other side of the bracket, you've got Edinburgh Vela, who came through with their first, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, that's their very first district championship in softball, correct?
Is it really? I didn't realize that.
I'm pretty sure it is, and because they ended up on top, and Vela will take on Alexander. Game 1 Thursday at Rio Grande City, Game 2 Saturday at Rio Grande City, and then, of course, 30 minutes after. And then it's Harlingen South with another rematch, and they'll take on South San. And that's one game, and that's Saturday at Cabinets Field.
Okay, thank God, because I like softball. Baseball sometimes can be a long, drawn out process, but softball is really good. Now, there was a question, and we'll get to this, Leroy. What's the deal on baseball at Rivera? We'll talk about that. I heard about the DEC today. So.
Okay, we'll get to that when we talk baseball, because you've got more info than I do on that one.
Yep.
But,
hey, Coach Debbie Esparza is watching. Hello, Debbie.
Hey, fantastic. Go Rio Hondo. Rio Hondo's got there are only 4A team left. Of course, Debbie's son coaches Rio Hondo, and they're going to take on the Arabians of Divine. And what are you doing off to the side, man? What are you doing?
It's an Austin East Sider, but there might be minors watching. So
Gotcha. Rio Hondo takes on Divine. That's one game. That's Friday at Toloso Midway. And so these one-gamers are always high in drama. So that one should be as well. So we've gotten 6A and we've gotten 4A. That's 5 teams down, only 4 to go, and all 4 of those are in Class 5A. It's going to be Brownsville Veterans taking on Gregory Portland. Game 1, as we said, tomorrow night against Gregory Portland at GP, and then it moves back Friday night to Brownsville Veterans. And then Mission Veterans takes on Corpus Christi Carroll, and that Game 1, Friday at Cabinets Field. Game 2, Saturday at Mission Vets. Ed Couch Elsa takes on Cal Allen softball. Game 1, Friday at Ed Couch Elsa. Game 2, Saturday at Cal Allen. And Mercedes taking on Flower Bluff. Game 1, Friday at Mercedes. Game 2, Saturday at Flower Bluff as well. So those are your 9 teams. Interesting on the 6A side, because 6A is where we've had most of our success in the Rio Grande Valley, whether it's San Benito or Weslaco making it to the state Final Four. On the San Benito, San Antonio Southwest, Edinburgh, Eagle Pass side, you've got New Braunfels Canyon waiting, and New Braunfels Canyon is one of the top 10 teams in the state. On the other side of the bracket, the Vela, Alexander, Harlingen South, South San side, that's where you've got Laredo Johnson waiting, and Laredo Johnson is one of the top teams in the state. So for the Valley to get a 6A team to the state level again this year, they're going to have to go through some really good teams. It's something we've done it before, but it's definitely going to be tough to get a 6A team into the state tournament again this year.
Yeah, I do miss that San Benito run a couple of years ago where they were playing against some superb pitchers that were going to big name schools, and they made it all the way to state finals.
Yep. Yeah, making it to the state Final Four. I see Coach Esparza talking about the Elite 8 run last year for Rio Hondo. Now we'll see if they can get past it and get to the Final Four. First, they've got to get past Divine and the Arabians. The Arabians. You like that? You like where the two teams are so completely different name that the boys' teams are called the War Horses and the girls' teams are called the Arabians? It's a little odd, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm all for the unicorns. So that's my favorite one. But
New Braunfels. Always good. Yeah, San Benito and Harlingen South have some good pitching again this year. You know, it's maybe Nana Carrizales for the Lady Hounds, and then Kaylin De La Fuente coming in for Harlingen South when she was supposed to be playing, I think center field or first base, for her to come in and step in because of injury and take over that starting pitcher spot for the Hawks, pretty strong there.
Yeah, well, one thing we should probably look at, Clay, is you and I were both watching the NFL draft last week.
Yes, we were.
All right. It's probably the crappiest transition that I could probably do right there. But I wanted to point out, I was very scared because I did not want the Cowboys to get my favorite player in the draft, number one in the hearts of most South Dakotans, and Carson Wentz from North Dakota. But it looked like the Cowboys were going to get a nice tight end in the second round in Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State. Mel Kiper and McShay had him as the number one tight end. They're in need of a tight end right now.
Maybe they're in need of a tight end. Most likely, let's be
realistic. Jason Witten looks horrible running routes in that Geico commercial, that ugly blue jersey. Come on, man. You know what? I think that was full speed, but they made it look like slow motion. But
talking about a Hall of Famer right there. Talking about a Hall of Fame tight end and a guy who's going up in the Ring of Honor for the Dallas Cowboys.
Kobe Bryant is going to be a Hall of Famer, but I wouldn't leave him alone with my daughter. All right, so sorry.
Where does that come from?
I don't know. I just I watched that Kobe stuff on ESPN today and it made me sick. But no. The NFL draft. How do you think it went?
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was obviously a huge troll job that in the second round that the Eagles traded up ahead of Dallas to draft a guy named Dallas who plays the tight end position, which the Cowboys' greatest ever at that position is probably going to retire. That's an epic troll job. But I believe the Cowboys when they say they were not going to draft Dallas Goedert at that position, that they were looking at Connor Williams, no relation, the entire way. The big lineman from the University of Texas, they were looking at him, and he was number one on their board according to the Cowboys, and I believe him.
The guy they drafted in the first round, a lot of people were knocking it from Boise State, the inside linebacker. A lot of people knocked him.
Van Esch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they were like, "Who's he played?" And I brought up the fact that who did DeMarcus Ware play at Troy? And a lot of people were knocking it. Look, how many busts do you have coming from big schools where they have really good players playing alongside them? To be a stud at Boise State, and especially on the defensive side of the ball, you got to be pretty stout.
And you look at where he came from. What do Leighton Vander Esch and I have in common? Any guesses? 3,
Oklahoma?
2. Nope. We both played 8-man football in high school. We both were from such small towns that we had to play 8-man football where we came from because we didn't have enough players to fill out 11-man. That's the way it works in those small schools up there in the rural areas, and they still play 8-man football at my old high school, as a matter of fact. But Vander Esch, I think I think he maybe doesn't have the most upside of any linebackers that the Cowboys could have taken, but I think he's the most solid pick. And what the Cowboys need is a solid pick because they've had enough guys come through with injuries and drafting a guy 2 years ago who you don't know if he's ever going to play again and
criminal records.
Yeah, you love to point that out, don't you? But the Cowboys wanted to make it all about them. They had the draft at their stadium, and then of course have you seen the Amazon original series All or Nothing, one season with the Dallas Cowboys? Have you watched any of it yet?
I haven't, and I really don't want to. So yeah,
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. Here, I've been watching a little of it. All or Nothing, basically. Unlike Hard Knocks on HBO, All or Nothing, they spend an entire season with the team. They've done it so far with the Arizona Cardinals 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. They did it with the LA Rams last year. So they were there for the firing of Jeff Fisher. And then they've done one college team. They did this past season with Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. And now the latest season, and it is, the Cowboys. I love the Cowboys, but they're a dumpster fire a lot of the time. And they were a dumpster fire last year. What do you find out about the Cowboys in this series? You find out that, one, Jason Garrett isn't a robot. He curses like a sailor. The air is blue around that guy every time he's not near a camera. When he's near a camera, the most boring person in the world. But when he's with his guys, man, it's just every other word would make your mama blush. What else did we find out? We found out that nobody on the Cowboys liked Des Bryant by the time they let him go. That guy was just in meetings just arguing with his wide receivers coach, arguing with offensive coordinators. He was just no fun to be around from everything I saw, and it's no wonder that the Cowboys let him go after what I saw on that reality series, All or Nothing. So those are the big takeaways for me.
Well, I have to say I picked up a new favorite team, and I hate that they won the the Super Bowl last year, but I have to go for the Eagles now. So you and I will be making fun of each other constantly.
Well, I'm a huge Oklahoma State fan. Does this mean I have to root for the Pittsburgh Steelers now? After hating the Steelers for my entire life, they go and they draft my number one receiver and my number one quarterback from Oklahoma State. And apparently Mason Rudolph is the heir apparent to Ben Roethlisberger whenever he decides to hang him up. Probably not after next year, but maybe after 2 years.
Well, I think you probably should, because they're probably going to get to the Super Bowl before the Cowboys.
Well, as that idiot kicker from the Eagles reminded us all, none of these draft picks were alive the last time the Cowboys were in a Super Bowl.
Hey, you have to admit that was pretty good, though.
Oh, are you kidding me? He was a kicker. It's one thing if you have a real player out there, a guy who's out there getting hit all the time, a guy who does something against the Cowboys coming out and giving them heck, like Drew Pearson did, a couple of years ago when it was in Philly. That's one thing, or I guess that was just last year maybe. But it's another thing to have the kicker come out and rile up your fans and do it in such a high-pitched voice that you wonder if he got kicked before he came out there. So no, David Akers, not on my list. Somebody else comes out. Nick Foles could come out. Nick Foles could come out and give it, and that would be fun. But don't send a kicker out there to try and rile people up.
So what we found out tonight is that Clay hates kickers and he doesn't think they're football players.
Okay, and according to Honda, we found out Jake knows very little about sports. So
that's true. That's true. That's why I let you do all the you do all the stats, and I just talk trash. By the way, Leroy Moya's. Shea Patterson, speaking of Michigan, he's been cleared to play by the NCAA, which is a good thing because he was playing for a real turd of a coach over there at Ole Miss.
Oh, yeah. The
only thing that guy did right was the blind side.
When you've got that bad of a situation at a school, the NCAA needs to let everybody go and play immediately, because that's just not a place you want to go. It's just not. So, congratulations to Shea, and you just wonder, you wonder what his recruiting was like, to tell the truth. I'm sure there was nothing untoward on his side or the family side, but, my God, everything they were doing over there in Starkville, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when all that stuff was going down.
Yeah. But, that's the NFL draft. Who was your surprise pick of the draft?
What's that? Who was my what?
Your surprise pick. Who's that guy that you're like, hey, I can't believe you got picked that soon?
Well, I'm surprised that Cleveland went that high with a defensive back at number 4. That really shocked me. But then again, I guess they had the extra picks, they could go with it. Were you shocked that all of a sudden, after weeks of Darnold versus Rosen versus Allen, all of a sudden it was the OU kid who ended up being number 1? Because that kind of shocked me. I didn't see that one coming.
I don't see what everybody else sees in Johnny Manziel and him. I don't see that.
No.
He's very cocky. He's arrogant. But I go, name a quarterback who isn't good. I mean, Tom Brady, arrogant. Russell Wilson, pretty arrogant in his own little ways.
Right.
It's good to be arrogant. It's good to be cocky. I think which one's the one that thinks he's a genius out of the quarterbacks? Who's the one that's supposed to be really smart? Is it the guy that went 10?
Oh, Josh Rosen, right?
Yeah, Josh Rosen is supposed to be this genius, and then he spoke out his butt when he got drafted, saying that there were nine mistakes in front of me.
Mistakes in front of me, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, all right. Yeah, go ahead. But I mean, Baker Mayfield is a good quarterback. He's got great skills. He's obviously got a winning attitude, and guys will follow him through a brick wall. I'm just tired of hearing him say how everybody was against him. Nobody gave him a chance. Walk on this, walk on that. I'm sorry. He got a full ride when he went from Tech to OU. Okay, it's not like he had to climb from the gutter up to get a spot at Oklahoma. They brought him on. The Sooners did, knowing that he was going to be their starting quarterback. So I'm tired of hearing all this, nobody believed in me stuff. They believed in you, Baker Mayfield, and they believed in you so much they took you to number 1 overall to Cleveland. Now let's see you prove that you belong there.
Yeah. But, that's the NFL draft, I guess, and I'm glad it's over. Now we can move on to free agency. So, I'm hoping for some free agent, some nice free agent stories, like the free agent pickups after the draft. I like to see those. But
those are all fun.
Yeah.
Those are
all
all
right.
fun.
Spring football, Clay. Spring football right around the corner. Well, actually, it's right now. Most of them are just starting. They'll get into pads next week.
Right. I think, if I remember right, Rio Grande City is the one team who started before everybody else. I mean, not that, they just started a week earlier. Most coaches like to wait, I think, until after the regional track tournament to start. Rio Grande City started a week before, so they're probably already in pads now as we speak. What are your thoughts on spring football? To me, it seems like spring football is for a team that kind of knows what it's got coming back, kind of knows what spots they're filling, kind of knows their depth chart already. Those are the teams that get the most out of spring ball. You've got some teams that play spring ball every single year, no matter who they've got coming back. McAllen Memorial, Mission Veterans come to mind. But for most teams, the decision on whether to have spring football or not seems to me to be how many guys you got coming back. Because if you've got a ton of freshmen coming in, 8th graders who are going to be contributing next year, there's no use in having spring football because you don't get to see any of them and see what they do yet.
Well, I think it comes down to how many scrimmages you want, too.
That's true, too.
Because, in the 5As now, with only having one non-district game and you jump basically into the district season, you're going to need more scrimmages. So I think now you're going to have to start weighing the options of when you're going to actually start going. But I don't know. I think if you have a class if you're going to be relying on a bunch of freshmen coming in, I don't think you want to do the spring ball at all. Because, you're going to want as many reps as you can with those kids.
Yeah, you want as many. You want an extra week with them in the fall. You want an extra week, an extra scrimmage with them if you can get them. If you've got guys who a young team, then I don't think spring football is for you. That's my take on it. That makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And I don't know. It just seems so far away. I know that they do spring football, and then it kind of leads into 7-on-7, and then and then you have about a month off, and then you start football again.
Yeah, and they're already starting state qualifying tournaments in 7-on-7. We had a state qualifying tournament. San Benito went up to a state qualifying 7-on-7 tournament last week in April. I mean, how much earlier are they going to start?
Nope, hold on, Clay. Coach David Duty just let me know. New rule. Freshmen can start a week earlier.
In the fall?
That's pretty cool. In the fall, Coach Duty? We'll find out if he replies back to us. But, we'll have to find out right now. But, Yeah, even if you have spring football, they can start a week early.
Oh, interesting. So all the upperclassmen would start a week after. So you'd have like a fish camp, basically, where all your freshmen would come in. And then because you had spring football, everybody else would come in a week later. Wow, that's a good rule. I mean,
Yeah,
if
really
you don't,
thanks, Coach.
Appreciate that. That's pretty good. So,
speaking of football, by the way.
Wait. I forgot. I forgot. I was on the 7-on-7 thing. How much earlier are we going to start 7-on-7 state qualifying tournaments? Because we had one last week, and San Benito went up to it in North Texas, and God bless them for doing it. They get, they're breaking in a new quarterback. They need, all the reps they can get. But my gosh, April for a 7-on-7 state qualifying tournament. Remember then when none of them started until after school was out? I mean, it doesn't make how much earlier are they going to go?
I just talked to Tony Canetto, and we sponsored the Mission SQT, the state qualifier. And I talked to him today. It's going to be June 12th, June 15th. I don't know. I got to say it's early in June, but not like we used to have it late in June. And Coach Judy is telling us that there's no additional scrimmages for them, though.
Right. You still can only get the 2 scrimmages if you had spring football. So yeah, that's true. But if you get an extra week with your freshmen, that makes you think about it. I think definitely does.
But by the way, I want to send a shout out real quick to Coach David Salinas for watching right now. Coach JD Salinas. None of us are a big fan of yours, but we just wanted to say thank you for watching.
This is the Compadre System, after all. Welcome to the Compadre System. If you just joined in, I'm Clay Williams. That's Jake Berry alongside, and we're just talking all sorts of things, not just sports, but also some pop culture stuff as well. No politics. This is a politic-free zone.
Yeah. Although I will say that I like the White House Correspondents' Dinner, but I got to watch the Raw, and it was really raw.
Well, but, if everyone gets offended, then I think it's great. As long as everyone gets offended, it's an equal opportunity. This is America, after all. Everyone needs to have the opportunity to be offended.
I watched Bruno. I was offended and horrified. That was pretty much what that White House Correspondents thing was. Hey, now real quick, we have this on the rundown. We were going to talk Avengers: Infinity War. I haven't seen it.
What? You haven't seen it yet?
I wanted to, but I had to work the superintendent's golf tournament last weekend. So
that's terrible, Jay.
Or did I say golf tournament? Fishing tournament.
Fishing tournament.
Yeah, but I care.
Did you just use the words work and fishing tournament in the same sentence?
Okay.
Did I hear that correctly?
Let's be realistic. I paid to go work. I pretty much was just there. I was like the Walmart greeter, just slightly younger. So that was my job.
I got you.
But
I got you.
So
all right. Well, let me just say this then. No spoilers. Avengers: Infinity War. I loved it. It's long. Make sure you go use the bathroom beforehand, because that thing is like 2 hours and 40 minutes all the way through by the time you get to the end credits scene. Don't go in with any expectations. Try to get in there with as few spoilers as you can, but now it's out, so it's going to be tough.
I've been pitch dark on that kind of stuff.
Good. Then you'll enjoy. Hey, well, what's your thought on the Marvel Cinematic Universe? What favorite characters, favorite movies? You into it? You're not? I was a comic book geek when I was a kid. I love
Batman. I know. I love Batman, Superman. I love Marvel. No, I'm not one of those guys who pretends to not know. My favorite character. I'm not going to be like everybody else who, I love Black Panther all of a sudden. I don't know. I think I'm more of I think I'm Thor.
I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe if you stretch before you work out next time, you won't be so sure.
No, we have the same. We have the same build and everything. Hair.
Oh, sure.
So.
Yeah, and you're hoping that Thor grows mutton chops as well, so your particular follicles won't be so out of fashion. I can see that. So. That's good. No, Thor Ragnarok was awesome. Black Panther was awesome. Spider-Man Homecoming was awesome, and then this just kind of continues on. There's lots of shock. There's lots of awe. Don't go in with any preconceived expectations. Just go see the movie and let the chips fall where they may. That's my spoiler-free review of Avengers: Infinity War.
I'm gonna have to look and see if Fandango's got any tickets tonight. But okay, so that was our Avengers: Infinity War talk. But what about Spurs and Kawhi Leonard?
Well, hold on. Let's get to baseball first because you teased everybody about high school baseball.
Oh, high school. You know what? I forgot. I'm looking at my rundown that I typed on our Facebook page, and I forget. I work at a district where the number one team is in that school district, and that's the Mackay Bulldogs.
Yeah. Mackay Bulldogs ranked number one on that THSB website. That I think they just kind of do their own rankings themselves, but also ranked number one in the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association coaches poll as well. Ranked number one in the state. 25-1-1. Their only loss, a 1-0 loss to Moody in that Miras tournament up in Corpus Christi. This McAllen team has the pitching to do it, and the thing is the bracket that they're in. Have you seen the brackets yet?
No, I haven't.
Mackay's in? All right, so you know how you've got half of Region 4 up high, and then you've got the other half down low. Well, down in the down low region of Region 4, the bottom half of Region 4, you've got 3 of the top 10 teams in the state of Texas in that one block. Not in the entire region, but in that one block. The good news for Mackay is they will not have to face Lake Travis and San Antonio Reagan. Most likely they will have to face either or. And it looks like if everything goes through and there are no upsets, Mackay will face the winner of Reagan and Lake Travis, both of which are ranked in the top 10 in the state. And if we're lucky, then they take each other to a 3-game series and exhaust all their pitching, even though everybody's going to have at least 3 days to rest. At least Mackay will have that, But Mackay's had problems getting, to the regional semifinals in the past. But with this pitching staff, I really think that this is the Bulldogs' year to make it at least to the Elite Eight.
Hey, and congratulations to Coach Pompa. 700 wins last weekend. They celebrated it, although there was a rain out, but much deserving for him.
Yeah, I'm sure he was his normal ebullient self, right? Just jumping up and down, screaming the way he usually does.
Yeah. So, but
that man has the slowest pulse of any high school baseball coach I have ever seen.
Yeah, but the one thing, the team kind of they don't act young. They've got some young players. Last year they didn't act young. This year they're not acting young. They have a very deep bench. And although I have not yet been out to see them live, I get to see the game changer stuff, and man, they're impressive. And you see, it's not just one person. Yes, they have Aaron Nixon, and he's signed to go to UT as a incoming freshman, but not signed, but committed. Mm-hmm. But that's not just the team. They have a bunch of kids that can play, and Amani Garcia.
Yep, who's going to UTRGV next year? Absolutely.
Yeah, they've got a collection of players, and I look at them, and if they can get out of that first round, because Laredo's, although
they've had problems with Laredo teams. Yeah.
And Laredo, sometimes they win those flips where they have one game playoff. And they beat Sherryland. I've seen them beat Sherryland. I've seen them, be able to do that in multiple rounds. Just using one good pitcher and getting 3 rounds deep. And you have to be wary of that if you're Mackay, because you can't have that letdown. No,
you can't. And you can't look ahead. You can't look ahead and see Lake Travis and San Antonio Reagan on your side of the bracket and think about what's going to happen in round 3. You just cannot do it. Not with the history and what Laredo teams have done to this Mackay program in the past. So
hello, Tony Farina.
Hello, Tony. It's good to see you.
Hey, and John Ball, thank you for watching. And
hey, all right, but okay, Mackay's number 1. They're going into the playoffs. They're playing Laredo United, but what we don't know is what's happening in 32-6A and what is happening with Brownsville Rivera and what's happening with Harlingen And last I heard, Harlingen's not in the playoffs. And Rivera and Weslaco were supposed to play a one game to determine who was second and who was third in the district. But now, give it to me. What do you got?
Rivera forfeited all their games.
Whoa. Wow.
The info I got today was at the DEC. The Rivera had to forfeit all their games. So,
was there any reason why? I'm guessing it had to be an ineligible player, but I mean that's just what's happened in the past. Multiple ineligible players.
From what I'm getting is that it's multiple. Now, don't quote me on that. My sources are really good, although I'm not really covering sports anymore. The guys that feed me my stuff, some of it came right out of the DEC meeting. Not from any of the DEC members, but I got it right after that. They forfeited all their games, so I don't think they're. Yeah, you're not going to the playoffs. So
all right. So what does this do? This puts Weslaco in second. So I'm guessing they would take on PSJ North. This puts Harlingen. So Harlingen is the big beneficiary here, right? Because they were out of the playoffs, and now with Rivera out, they'll go up, and they'll take on oh, no, Tony, don't do that. That's so mean. But Harlingen will take on Vela now. And Vela's getting votes, by the way, in the top 10 in the state, in the Texas High School Coaches Baseball Coaches Association poll. So now Vela will take on Harlingen, as Harlingen's the 4. I think that means Weslaco will take on PSJ North. And I think that should mean that PSJA is in second in their district, should now take on Brownsville Hannah, in the first round. So, wow, big news there. Brownsville Rivera forfeiting all of their games, according to sources close to Jake Berry. That's tough.
Yeah, actually. Yeah, and actually, 31-6A has had some drama itself in the last couple of weeks. The PA announcer during the Edinburgh PSJA game, there was some arguing between the coaches, and he played, "There's no crying in baseball." Well, he got removed from his position for doing that. Not because the coaching, but because of pressure from the opposite team. And that one starts with the Bobcats. And then I've heard that there was some in the Vela PSJA game. There was a little drama between a kid getting kicked out for possibly. No, I'm not going to say possibly. From what I'm hearing from the coaches, is that the kid threw a ball at a coach. So yeah, so that's what I'm hearing. So I heard some kid got kicked out of that game. There's some drama. Yeah. So. Yeah, I still get the cheese man. I still get that across the. Before I wouldn't really, say a lot about that, but yeah, I heard that happened in during a baseball game between Vela and PSJA. So there's some drama in 31-6A.
Whew! Drama in 31-6A, drama in 32-6A, and then of course the number one team in the state is your champion in 36A. So wow.
And I think composure-wise,
this will be a fun baseball playoffs.
Yeah, and I think composure-wise, you got to give the tip of the hat to Mackay. I think that they have enough composure. They don't play like little kids. They don't have that when the chips are down, I'm going to be a baby kind of mentality. Not to say other teams don't, but a lot of times we see that in the playoffs where teams fold up and just want to go cry somewhere.
Let's put it plainly. This Mackay team has the composure and of a junior college team or a college baseball team. This team they don't get too high, they don't get too low. They come in, they punch in the work clock and they get to work and they're very impressive. So should be fantastic baseball playoffs once again. If you missed it. So Rivera out of the playoffs, having to forfeit all their games. So it will be Edinburgh Vela taking on Harlingen in the first round. It will be it should be Weslaco taking on PSJ North and PSJA taking on Hannah, if my calculations are correct. This does not affect the Los Fresnos Edinburgh North matchup, which was set in stone and doesn't change at all. It affects the other three matchups, however, in 31 and 32 6A. Wow.
Yeah. So tough. It's a tough route for Ravenna. They're out of the playoffs, but we've seen it happen before. Other sports. So.
Yeah, we certainly have. Let's talk a little Spurs real quick, and talk about the big story that was released today by ESPN reporter Ramona Shelburne, who did some fantastic, because the biggest story of the NBA season, really, there wasn't a team going for 73 wins. You talk about Russell Westbrook averaging a triple-double. He did that last year. The biggest story was what in the world was happening with the most stable franchise in the NBA, the San Antonio Spurs, and their biggest star, Kawhi Leonard, who only played 9 games. Well, now we start to find out a little bit more from Ramona Shelburne's ESPN article, and it looks like it is basically it's that thing where relatives get a hold of an NBA player and they start to whisper in his ear and they start to tell him things. In this case, it's the guy Kawhi Leonard calls Uncle Dennis. Dennis Robinson is kind of taking over Kawhi's management. Another big part of Ramona Shelburne's article is that he really doesn't have an agent. Kawhi Leonard doesn't. The people who used to be his agent, their entire firm has fallen apart. And now Kawhi basically is just getting by with an advisor who used to be an agent and his uncle and a doctor who is telling him that, no, that problem in your quadriceps isn't a strain, it's actually ossification. And ossification is when, you get bruised several times on the same muscle and it starts to calcify.
Yeah.
It starts to turn into, bone. Your muscle does. And that, it's what knocked my favorite Boston Bruins player, Cam Neely, out of hockey. And, but nobody knows for sure exactly what's happening with Kawhi because nobody's talking about it. And, it's obvious that Kawhi is listening more to his Uncle Dennis than he is anybody on the Spurs. And you can't really blame him for that. Once Kawhi's dad died, then Uncle Dennis was, the male figure in his life. And nobody is saying that Uncle Dennis is just doing this to try and, leech off of Kawhi or, get money off of Kawhi or send him where he wants to go. They all think that he's got his best interest in hand. It's just they don't think, the people who are on the Spurs don't think that Uncle Dennis knows enough about the NBA and what's happening in order to make sure that Kawhi gets his best thing, which would be a supermax contract with the Spurs. The Spurs can pay Kawhi Leonard more than any other team, and it's very interesting right now.
Do you want to?
What's that?
Do you want to pay Kawhi max money? I'm sorry if he's turning into my body. He's calcifying. Of course, he probably looks better with the shirt off. Do you want to pay him? Here's my thing. He's got 1 year left on his contract. Trade him to LA. Get yourself Kyle Kuzma and get yourself another player. And then LeBron James. LeBron James likes Pop. And if Pop stays around, get him. Get LeBron James. I'm not a LeBron James fan, but I think he's better than Kawhi Leonard. And I know Kawhi's younger, but I think you could put LeBron and with LaMarcus Aldridge, Paul Gasol, the lineup that they have, which is pretty good. I think they win. And they have some. Get rid of Danny Green, by the way. He's trash. Right? All right.
Oh, wait.
Because
you think the North Carolina player is trash? I am shocked, sir. Shocked that you would think that a Tar Heel player was trash. Come on, man. Let everybody know you're a Dookie before this goes any further.
I'm a Dookie, but no, Danny Green. Oh yes, girls like him. They think he's attractive. That's fine. You know what? You can go. That if that's your claim to fame, Tristan Thompson, go that way. But I honestly get rid of Danny Green. Get some shooters in there to go along with LeBron James. But I think you let Kawhi go. I mean, if his body is turning to crap, just let him go. Let Paul go. By the way, Billy Watson says Paul George to LA. let him go to LA too, because he was pretty much trash in the playoffs.
Yeah. So much for playoff P. That experiment in Oklahoma City completely went awry. But the bigger question is Pop going to be back? You know, his wife died. He missed the last 3 games of the Warriors series. And by the way, that's another interesting part of Ramona Shelbourne's story on ESPN.com today, is that if Pop had come back to coach either Game 3, Game 4, or Game 5, then Kawhi Leonard was set to come back to San Antonio, put on a jacket, and sit with his team and be with Pop. Kawhi still loves Pop. He's got somebody else in his ear who maybe he trusts a little bit more than Pop. I think that's very interesting that Kawhi Leonard wanted to come back if Pop came back. When Pop didn't come back and coach any of those games, then Kawhi said, I'm just going to stay in New York.
You know, but how much do you want Kawhi if he can't make his own decisions for himself? I mean, come on. Realistically, I should be on the bench with my team, at least during the home games. I'm not going to. You know, not even – I mean, you know.
Listen, man, listen. Talent is talent. Talent trumps everything. I don't care if you're Boogie Cousins or Sean Kemp. If you've got the talent, people are going to give you a shot, and people are going to want to give you a contract. And Kawhi Leonard is one of the 5 most talented players in the NBA, maybe one of the top 3.
But see, I think one of the best things that's ever happened to, say, the Dallas Mavericks is not getting DeAndre Jordan because he was too much of a chicken, that he went and hid at his house and, wouldn't answer the phone.
That's one of the best things? What'd they get out of it?
Dennis Johnson. Or Dennis
Smith,
Dennis Smith
Jr.?
Yeah.
They got DJ. We'd have a big story on our hands.
Yeah. But I think in the way I look at it, I feel Kawhi is kind of like DeAndre Jordan. It's kind of he's going to hide behind somebody to make his decision when he's a grown man. And, if he wants to be there, he wants to be there. If he doesn't want to be there, he doesn't want to be there. But, it's not a high school kid who's, not sure if he wants to play varsity. This is a grown adult who's pretty damn good at basketball.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. I agree. We'll find out. So.
Yeah. We'll find out. Okay. All right. You know what? We're getting late in time, so let's skip the Astros thing. There's an idiot Cleveland pitcher who thinks the Astros are putting illegal substances on the ball, and that's why Verlander and Morton and Keuchel are doing so well. Forget him. That's out. If you want to go see it, go see the tweets of go see the tweet of Alex Bregman, by the way, who really ripped this guy a new one, which was pretty funny. Yeah. But let's finish up with the brand new Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame inductees, and
I made it. This is my year.
One day, man. One day you and I'll go. One day you and I'll go.
It'll be you, me, and Dave Amador. All right. That'll be the year I don't want to show up. So.
All right.
Sorry.
Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame is awesome. They're a great organization. You should buy tickets. You should go. June 30th, Bogus Ford Event Center in Pharr is the place. And let's see, they've got how many going? 9? Or I can't even remember. Now it's more than that. But let's talk about some of the people who are going. There's about 240 people in. The first 2 inductees into this were, 2 of the greatest ever to come from the Valley, and Tom Landry, and Bobby Morrow of San Benito, the former fastest man in the world. And since then, they've put in some great people, and it's always been a great time. Love the fact that they recognize the best that have ever come from the Valley. Let's go through it real quick. Steve Alanese, we'll go through it in alphabetical order. Steve Alanese, who of course, Edinburgh High, and went to Notre Dame and won a national title in '89 with the Fighting Irish and Lou Holtz. Alanese was a great player for Edinburgh, and he's going to go into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. Phil Danaher, who, anybody who's watching who's heard the name, you might know that he is the winningest high school football coach ever in the state of Texas, which means basically he's the best high school football coach ever in the history of ever.
And he's from
Harlingen.
Every year. Yeah, every year he starts by coming down here and beating us. So
yeah, or sometimes he waits up there for us to come up there and we'll beat him too. They'll beat us too. But.
No matter who he plays, it's not just Mercedes. So it's everybody that plays him.
Yeah, and maybe a lot of people don't know that he's from Harlingen, and but winningest coach in the history of Texas high school football. Went to the state finals twice in 2005 and just 2 years ago in 2016. Kim Edquist. Fantastic that she's going over.
She just retired, too, a year ago.
Just retired. Los Fresnos girls basketball coach. I was there for her 500th win. She ended up with 528 wins in her stellar career as a head coach at Los Fresnos. Congratulations to her and the Falcons for going. Roland Ingram, and this is a story I didn't know. Roland Ingram from Harlingen was the women's tennis coach at TCU for 19 years, won 4 conference titles, 20 individual conference champions. Standout tennis player at Harlingen, won national championships with Schreiner, which was back then Schreiner Junior College, and then played at North Texas, and then became the head coach at TCU in the 60s. And he's already in 3 different halls of fame, sports halls of fame in the state of Texas. So Roland Ingram from Harlingen going. Sammy Montalvo from Brownsville Pace. Graduated from there in 1980. Won the state in the 800 meters as both a junior and a senior, as a matter of fact. Also went to state in the 400. So one of the greatest track stars that the Valley has produced. And good to see a Pace Viking going into the Hall of Fame as well. And then Becky Doobie, now Becky Thomas, perhaps the greatest girls basketball player to ever come out of the Rio Grande Valley. Some folks might argue that Bianca Torrey might have, just scored more points than she did anyway. But Becky Doobie did it first. MAC High, Pan American. She was the NAIA's leading women's scorer in the 83-84 season. 28.4 points per game. Think that's impressive?
Yeah, that's it. That's all. Yeah, that's pretty darn good.
Averaged 18.5 points per game every game in high school. Wow, that's incredible. And then a guy that you and I are very familiar with, Tony V. Tony Villarreal. Coach Tony, tough talking Tony is going to the Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame.
Where's he at?
What?
I don't know who that is.
Man, you just all over it.
no, Tony, wonderful. He's always been great to me.
Me too.
He was in La Jolla last year as a consultant, and they made the playoffs over there. So, look, I will say this. I know that everybody wants to go to the spread and all this stuff like that. I think eventually people are going to come to realize that, you can still run the slot tee, the nasty tee, whatever you want to call it, like Tony does, because, the guy builds programs. That's one thing you got to say about Tony V. He might rub you the wrong way. You might have rubbed him the wrong way, but he's genuine with me. He's always been good to me, so. Yeah,
and, he doesn't suffer fools, man. That's just the way it is. And with his success, he had success at Port Isabel, had success at Brownsville-Hanna, had success at Weslaco, had success when he was a player, son of a coach, of a great coach, all the best to Tony V. And congratulations on getting into the Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame. A couple more names before we finish up. Rosemarie Leffner, now Rosemarie White, played at Lyford. And let's see. So all district 4 straight years, 27 points per game at Lyford. That's during all 4 years. Played at Sam Houston State and also coached at the high school level. That Lyford produces some pretty good women's basketball players, huh?
Yeah.
I think boxers. We know another.
No boxers, though. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
now you're going to get punched by Eric Molina.
Yeah, I know. So,
getting punched by Eric Molina is not something you want. But
it's okay.
Nora Zamaripa, also from Lyford High School.
Yeah.
Coach Z, right? So.
Yeah. Hey, I did want to say this one thing, because you did mention her slightly when we were talking about Doobie or Thomas, is Bianca Torrey.
Yeah.
She's back. She's back at work. Want to give a shout out to her because I got to coach in girls basketball when she was in high school. We played against her. We were like one of the main rivals. She always beat us. she then got her teaching certificate, came to teach at Edinburgh High School. I left coaching. She took my position there, and she's a wonderful person, very nice, and I'm so happy that she's back at work and feeling well because it's scary to be that young and go through a mini stroke.
Yeah. So we're happy that she's feeling in better health, and one of the greats to ever play. And I'm so happy I got to cover her career both at Harlingen South and at UTPA.
And down here, I don't know if it's happened ever before this, but she had a quadruple double in high school. I got her into Max Preps. That one year she got a quadruple double, albeit against PSJ Memorial before they were PSJ Memorial. As good as they are now. So, but quadruple double, who does that?
Well,
Incredible.
yeah, I mean, who's going to be happier about hearing that? Maybe Scott Harrison, our buddy Scott Harrison. He loves the quadruple double and all the stories about the quadruple double. We know that, right?
Yep.
Final two. Joe Mancha, now deceased, three-time All-District two-way lineman for Mac High, All-State twice in the 1950s. And member of the 1952 team, Mac High team that won 11 straight and went to the state semifinals and was ranked number 5 in the state. Very good pick there in Joe Mancha. Also, John Tripson, who played, he was a lineman at Mission back in the 30s, and he was a lineman and a great friend of Tom Landry's, as a matter of fact, who also played for the Mission Eagles. And went to Mississippi State, and he tried to convince, John Tripson tried to convince Landry to come to Mississippi State. But at Mississippi State, John Tripson was All-Southeast Conference, All-America Honorable Mention, played with the Detroit Lions in 1941 and played in the Pro Bowl, and earned the Navy Cross in World War II. So another great selection. John Tripson, sometimes people don't know the great history here in the Rio Grande Valley, some of the people who lived here and have done such great things here. But I'm glad that the Rio Grande Valley Sports Hall of Fame is here to make sure that all these people get their due.
By the way, Clay, Tony Guerrero is waiting for your resume.
Oh, yeah?
I think the Hall of Fame is what he's talking about. So,
all right.
I'm just joking.
I see you asking if you can get in.
I just want to know. I don't know how long it takes, but I've made enough people mad during my career. Hey, one thing I did want to point out, and we're going to try to put this back on the web. We're having issues with the software, doing it remotely from Clay's at his place. I'm at my place. We do have a magazine coming out. And Tony says he's not laughing, Clay. But we have a magazine coming out called 956 Football. And what Tony Leal did for baseball with RGB Diamond magazine, we're also
incredible
going to
magazine.
be doing. Yeah, and if you've seen it, it's 160 pages of pure baseball and softball, and no ads really. I think there's 3 ads in the whole thing. This 956 Football one, there'll be some ads in it, but it's 200 pages of football from Roma to Brownsville. It's no joke. And if you want to see pictures, go on to our Facebook page, 956 Sports on Facebook, and take a look at these pictures. They're incredible. Don't get fooled. I know there's other people trying to use the 956 name. 956 Football is the magazine. There's RGB Diamond for baseball magazine. And this magazine we've had photo shoots the last 2 weekends. All these players will be there. Clay's writing in it. Actually, I talked to Louis Vetta. He'll be just doing a little bit of writing on some of the stories, some of the feature stories. But we have a good collection of people working in this magazine. We've got stats, all this stuff. It's incredible. You can pre-order. You'll be able to pre-order. But right now, if you want to get a little mini ad for your football player, if you're a parent, you can do that as well. So we're trying to not put too many ads on there. I used to be an Apollo male dancer. I don't want to put any of those ads on there. But
nobody wants to see that, man.
No, but
ain't nobody got time for that.
But it's 200 pages, It's, Dave Campbell's will get you about 4 pages of Valley content, and the rest of it's statewide. Ours is strictly RGB.
All right. Sounds great.
All right. Yeah.
Let's call it a night, sir. It's getting late.
Yeah, I'm going to hit the gym.
All right. You have been watching or listening to or wherever you happen to be checking out the Compadre System. I'm Clay Williams. That's Jake Berry. We're trying to do this every Tuesday and Thursday.
I ruined
Muscle
it.
Menace.
Yeah.
But we hope to see you again and hope you're enjoying the Compadre System. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later. Compadre System. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later.